It was early in the morning, just after sunrise, when Emma opened her eyes to the quiet hum of her old apartment. The city outside was still waking up. Cars passed now and then, a dog barked in the distance, and soft light filtered in through her window blinds. She blinked, stretched, and lay still for a moment, letting it all sink in. Today was moving day. She had lived in this apartment for almost 5 years. It wasn't very big. 1 bedroom, a small kitchen, and a living room with a view of the bakery across the street. But it had been hers, her very first apartment. The place where she grew into the adult version of herself. The place where she had learned how to cook, how to pay bills, how to fix a broken curtain rod, and how to cry quietly on nights when the world felt too heavy. It was full of memories, some sweet, some sad, but all part of her journey. Emma sat up in bed and looked around. Boxes were stacked near the door, labeled with black marker: kitchen, books, bathroom stuff, and miscellaneous, which was really just everything she didn't know where to put. She had spent the past few days packing everything she owned, deciding what to keep and what to let go. She got out of bed and walked to the kitchen. The countertops were almost empty now, just a kettle, a few mugs, and a half-empty jar of honey. She made herself a cup of tea and stood by the window, looking out at the familiar street. The bakery owner was opening up shop, just like every morning. He looked up, saw her, and waved. Emma smiled and waved back. "One last cup of tea in this kitchen," she whispered to herself. She thought about all the mornings she had spent here, sitting at the little table with her notebook and a cup of something warm, writing down dreams, grocery lists, or things she was grateful for. Some days were full of excitement. Others were quiet, even a little lonely, but all of them were hers. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A message from her friend Maya. "Are you ready? Moving day. Need help carrying stuff?" Emma smiled and typed back. "Almost ready, just having tea. See you in an hour?" Maya replied with a thumbs up emoji and a dancing cat. As she finished her tea, Emma looked around once more. The apartment felt different now. Not sad, not empty, just done. Like a chapter that had been fully written. She dressed quickly and tied her hair into a loose bun. Then she began the work, carrying boxes, wrapping up the last items, checking drawers and corners one last time. The movers would be here soon, but she wanted to make sure everything was ready. When Maya arrived, she brought 2 more friends, Leo and Sophia, and a box of fresh croissants from the bakery. "You didn't think we'd let you move without snacks, did you?" Leo grinned. Emma laughed. "Of course not. I raised you well." They all sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes, sharing croissants and laughing about old memories. Sophia pointed at a framed photo Emma was about to pack. "Remember that trip?" she asked. "How could I forget? That was the weekend we got lost in the forest and thought we were going to be eaten by wild rabbits." They all laughed. Soon, the movers arrived. 2 friendly men with strong arms and calm voices. They greeted Emma politely and started loading the boxes onto the truck. Emma watched as her life, piece by piece, disappeared into the back of the moving van. The couch where she had fallen asleep watching movies, the desk where she had written her first article, the lamp that had flickered no matter how many times she changed the bulb. Everything was leaving. As the apartment emptied out, the sound changed. Every footstep echoed. The laughter felt louder. The rooms looked bigger. Or maybe just bare. Emma walked from room to room, checking, touching the walls, whispering thanks. In the bedroom, she sat on the floor for a moment. This was where she had cried over a breakup, where she had danced alone after a job offer, where she had stared at the ceiling, wondering about life. She felt the memories wash over her. "Goodbye," she whispered. The last box went into the truck. Emma locked the door, placed the keys in a small envelope, and left it on the kitchen counter. Then she stepped outside. The street looked just as it always had, but she knew this was goodbye. She hugged Maya, Leo, and Sophia tightly. "Thank you for everything." "Anytime," Maya said. "Now go start your next chapter." Emma got into her small blue car. She had never been great with directions, but she had the address written down and her GPS ready. As she started the engine, she looked up at her old building one last time. It looked smaller than she remembered, maybe because she had grown. The drive to the new place wasn't long, just across town, but it felt like traveling to a different world. She passed parks, schools, shops she hadn't seen before. Trees lined the road, and the sun followed her, casting long shadows on the pavement. She pulled into a quiet street and parked in front of a pale yellow building with white balconies. It was her new home. She sat there for a moment, holding the key in her hand, looking up at the windows. "This is it," she said out loud. The movers arrived shortly after. They began unloading boxes, carrying them up to the second floor. Emma followed with her own bag, her hands full of keys, a notebook, and a small plant she refused to put in a box. The apartment was empty and bright. So much sunlight came through the windows that it almost felt unreal. The walls were white, the floors were smooth, and the air smelled like new paint and clean wood. She walked through the rooms slowly, living room, kitchen, bedroom, all waiting to be filled with life. She placed her plant, a little green one named Fred, on the windowsill. Then she sat on the floor, just breathing. It didn't feel like home yet, but it felt like the beginning of one. Over the next few hours, she unpacked, slowly, carefully. She started with the books, placing them on a new shelf, then her bed, which took a while to set up, but finally looked just right, her soft blanket, her candle, her fairy lights. The sun began to set. The golden hour light made everything glow. She made tea, the first cup in her new kitchen. She sat by the window, sipping slowly, watching the street below. A couple walked by holding hands. A cat jumped onto a fence. A little boy rode a bike in slow circles. The quiet was different here, not lonely, just peaceful. That night she lay in bed, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, but it didn't matter. The room smelled like lavender from her candle. The fairy lights glowed softly. She pulled her blanket up to her chin and smiled. It still didn't feel like home, but it didn't feel wrong. She slept deeply. The next morning she woke up to birdsong. Real birdsong. She got up, made tea, and walked barefoot to the window. The sky was blue. The world felt open. She sat down with her notebook and wrote, "Today I begin again." Quietly, slowly, with hope. Day by day, the apartment became hers. A rug here, a photo there, music while cooking, phone calls on the balcony, the space filled with laughter, memories, scents, light, and life. Emma still missed her old apartment sometimes, the way it creaked, the little things that made it hers. But more than that, she loved what she was building now, a space that matched who she had become. One afternoon, Maya visited. She looked around and smiled. "Wow, Emma, this feels like you." Emma nodded. "It's starting to feel like home." They sat on the floor with tea and talked about everything and nothing. Later that night, Emma stood by the window alone. The fairy lights twinkled softly. Outside, the world moved slowly. Inside, she felt calm. She picked up her notebook again and wrote, "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a feeling. And tonight, I feel it." She closed the notebook, turned off the lights, and went to bed. Not afraid, not lost, just here. And that was enough. Thank you for listening to this story. We hope it helped you relax, practice English, and maybe even feel something real. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check the description for a free PDF with useful vocabulary and sentence patterns from today's story. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and take care of yourself. Goodbye for now.